Welcome, everyone, to the Unfiltered Talk Podcast, episode 17. Very blessed to have our guest here, Chaz Ah You. What's up, bro?
What's going on, man? Appreciate you having me, man.
Of course, dude. Man, this has kind of been in the works for a little bit. We've been, I remember bringing up the podcast to you, like, in one of our classes, and you'd mentioned that it's something that you'd be interested in maybe just contributing to, saying what's up, sharing your story. Let's get right into it, bro. I'm not going to waste any time with introductions and stuff. Everybody pretty much knows who you are. Let's talk about your recruitment process. I want to kind of start like the beginning of your college career. Obviously that kind of starts in high school. You went to Westlake first, right?
Yep.
Was there another high school that you went to before there?
Not before, no.
Okay. So
finished at Timpview, though.
Finished at Timpview. So Westlake, freshman, sophomore year, and then transferred to Timpview.
Freshman, sophomore, junior.
Oh, so I
went to Timpview for my senior year.
Okay. What was the reason for that?
I just wanted a state championship, It was like we were winning 3 games a year. So I was like, you know what? Let me pack it up and see if I can do something down south. So, yeah.
You and your cousin Gabe, bro, man. 3 games a year, gosh.
Man, 3 games. I think our best season, we were celebrating a 5-win season. We went 5-5 one year, and that was like
big time.
Big time, man. Our school was like, man, our team's actually good this year.
Yeah.
We sucked, man. So it was a fun time, though. I think Westlake was a fun place to play football, but I wanted a ring. So
no, I feel that, bro. Especially in Utah, and nothing against Utah football, but I feel like there are certain schools that are going to guarantee you a ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially at the 5A, 6A level. So in high school, started your recruitment process from these colleges. What were some of the schools that you got recruited from?
I was really blessed with my recruitment in high school. I was very proactive in how I went about my recruitment. That was my whole life from 8th grade summer up until I graduated high school. So I was recruited from pretty much the whole Pac-12, the Big 12, the Big 10. Had a couple SEC schools, nothing to write home about,
The Missouris, the Vanderbilts.
Yeah. You know how it goes. The Vanderbilts, Mississippi State, they were decent back at the time, but they weren't anything to brag about. So not the SEC that is like, yeah, I had that, but I was blessed to be, have about 30 offers coming out of high school.
Dude, that's so tight, bro. I think a lot of people don't understand, like, when you get that kind of attention from college programs, bro, it's like, okay, bro, like all the hard work, man. Like, and I know your dad, Jason, bro, and I know he was working you since you were a kid, bro, because that's how those poly dads do it. It's like you start as soon as you're able to walk, like ladder drills. Mm-hmm. They start making you sprint. They put you through football drills, with the football tucked in, doing the Indian runs and stuff. So what has that meant to you? Looking back on it now, right? What has it meant to you to have all that hard work pay off?
It's not very often that you get to see the fruits of your labor in that sense, Usually it takes more than 5 years, 6 years. You're talking 15, 20 years, and then you start to see it. So to see that kind of success, my dad in 7th grade came up to me and was like, tell me when you're ready to actually start training. I was like, hey, we haven't started training yet? I was like, this is pretty intense already. He's like, you let me know when you're ready and I will kick it into gear. And so 7th grade, I pulled my dad aside. I was like, Dad, I'm ready to go. Let's make it happen. And never looked back since, and to see that, my hard work was actually paying off. It was going somewhere. People were actually recognizing me. That to me meant a lot, so that part of it really was the Kickstarter to all the confidence that I had, going into college.
Yeah. So, and obviously BYU was one of the schools that kind of won over your heart in order, you committed there. What was the decision making? What was the process in committing to BYU?
Man, there was a lot that went into it. BYU was my first offer. So they offered me my 8th grade summer going into 9th grade. I remember I was playing quarterback at the time, and my dad was like, no, we're going to pull you up, and you're going to go play DB over here with the seniors. Dang. So I'm, 13 years old maybe? And I'm going up, PD Tuipulotu was there. I remember he killed that camp. Like, he was the talk of the town that camp. And so I was playing up with those kind of guys, and BYU ended up offering me at the end of the camp. And that, to me, was huge. That's when Bronco was still there. And those guys were showing mad love, I remember Bronco gave me a shout-out in a fireside at the football camp that they do with all the athletes. And I was like looking at my dad like, is he talking about me? Like, I didn't even know. So that to me was kind of where the roots were installed, is when they were showing that kind of love. And, you know, I wanted my family to be at all my games. BYU honestly was not my first choice.
Yeah.
You know, they're probably my number 3.
What was the other two? Come on, bro. You gotta tell us. What was the other two?
My number 1 was UCLA. You know, UCLA, it's hard to say. Washington, I fell in love with Washington. I actually wanted to commit there after my visit. But UCLA was by far the one school out of every school that was actually, you know, my position coach was recruiting me.
Yeah.
You know, he was the one that was reaching out. I went on my visit there. The head coach sat down at lunch, dinner, breakfast, whatever it was. Like, that was the school that, in hindsight, if I'm looking at it 20/20 vision, that's probably the school I should have gone to.
Yep.
Just with the love that they were showing. But that was my top 3.
That's nice. So then the decision to go to BYU, you wanted your family to go there, probably wanted to stay close to home, right? You didn't want to go out of state. In terms of like the football program, was there anything that stood out to you and you're like, yeah, I want to go here?
I love the culture that was there. You know, at the time it was a little more laxed, honestly. There wasn't as much structure. It was more like, you guys are grown men, I'm gonna let you do your thing.
Yeah.
And so when I would go on my visits, like, I loved the atmosphere that was going on in the locker room. And that to me was, I didn't feel that at any other of the other ones, you know? It's and I feel like it's kind of more traditional at other schools. I feel like at BYU, it's really in Utah.
Yeah.
The connection that you have to your teammates is a little different. It's almost not real. I feel like everywhere else it's a doggy dog world, and I'm gonna get mine. You still have your close relationships, but it's still doggy dog, you know?
Yeah.
Over here it was like that, but you know, you never felt like you were an outcast on the field. You know what I'm saying? Everyone, I feel like, for the most part, feel like they had a place on the field. So
everybody's so damn friendly up in here, bro. Dude. I mean, I remember like practices my freshman year, get knocked the F out by Butch Pa'u and then hey dude, how you doing, bro? You know, I'm just like, this, like, it don't make sense, man. Some of these guys on the field, they're so different off the field. You know what I mean? And I think that's for me, I've always felt like the football field was just a place to just be a dog. You know what I mean? And have no judgment. You know, you could be a total dick, bumping into people, hitting people after the play and stuff. For you, was the field a way to kind of express, or how would I say this? Was the field a place for you to kind of like let go?
Oh, most definitely. You know, I feel like as a football player, you tend to learn that's where you can actually express yourself, you know? And oftentimes we don't really express ourselves in words. You know, sometimes it might be trash talking, but just being able to be physical, I mean, that was the number one thing that I loved, is I didn't care about my body. You know, I probably should have been a little smarter, but, you know, if I could run into someone full speed and my eyes go cross-eyed, my head is ringing, to me, that's fun, you know? And so that's really where I would express myself, is just being able to let go. And, you know, you didn't feel like you had to fit into any certain category. You just got to go out there and ball out, and you're good, you know? So I would definitely say that it was a huge outlet.
And I think that's something that fans don't really understand too, is like I don't want to say that, like, because obviously there's a difference between a football player off the field and on the field, right? And fans, sometimes they conflate the two. And so when I see a Travis Hunter doing the Heisman pose and stuff, or if I see a Cam Scadaboo saying he's the best running back in college football, I'm thinking, dude, this is part of the letting go, bro. Like, you're performing for fans, for an audience, you know what I mean? I don't know why people get so, like, judgmental of that stuff, saying, oh, he's not humble. You don't got to be humble on the What are you talking about, bro?
You saying I got to come out here and say that I suck? Or, like, what do you want me to say, man? Let me be me, you know?
Exactly, bro. That's exactly how I feel, and I feel like that's something that now is being made more evident because of the whole NIL thing, right? Dude, you got to go make your money, bro.
Got to make your money. And you realize every athlete's really a character, you know? You're not – you're you, but it's a character. That's why you're able to disconnect from real life, is because you step into I don't want to say like an alter ego, but a different side of you that you don't get expressed all the time, you know?
Exactly.
And so that's what they see on the field, is that character that comes out. And that's really what gets you paid at the end of the day, is, you know, is it entertaining to watch? You know, at the end of the day, good attention, bad attention. If someone's hating on Travis Hunter for saying, I deserve the Heisman Trophy, you know, that's his character that he is. He is the Heisman potential, you know? So that's really what it is.
Yeah, it's all marketing, man. It's all marketing. So let's talk about, so you committed to BYU. You had big old commitment video, bro. I remember watching it. I'm like, damn, I didn't get no commitment video like this, bro.
Yeah.
But what? So how did you? So the video was of you coming in on a helicopter, landing in the middle of LES, and then committing to BYU. How did you get the authorization to make that happen, bro?
It's crazy because I don't even know. Man. Bleacher Report ran that whole thing. It wasn't even my idea, man. Like, I never brought it up. They just hit me up my junior year and like, hey, we want to do a commitment video with you. And that's kind of when commitment videos were starting to become a big thing.
Yeah.
Then they died out. But yeah, I was supposed to actually go bungee jumping down in California.
Oh.
I was like, hell no, I ain't jumping off no bridge. They wanted me to hold the smoke of the team that I was committing to. I was like, nah, I ain't doing all that. So luckily they were able to get me the helicopter, and it was a fun experience. But I don't know how we got cleared for that because they actually had to go out and shovel. They took tractors out there, bro, and shoveled off the field so that we could land there and do the whole video. So
all the grass and stuff? Or you mean like the snow, like they had to shovel off all the snow?
On the grass, yeah.
All the grass?
Yeah, so if you look back on the video, it's like very precisely cleaned off right in the middle of the field. And they got Cosmo in there too. I was like, bro, I don't know how this happened. I just showed up and that's what it was. So it was fun. It was fun.
No, that's tight, bro. So you committed to BYU. There were some plans on you serving a mission. You put in your papers, obviously. Where did you get called to?
Rancho Cucamonga, California.
Rancho, really?
Mm-hmm.
Dang, that's where CJ Stroud went to go play his high school ball at.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I only know that because every time people talk about California ball, I bring up all of the best California players. I'm like, tell me you have a better lineup than that. You know what I mean?
That's true though. Hey, you can't hate on that.
Can't hate on Cali ball, bro. So there's a number of missionaries who have come home early from their mission, and it's a tough experience for a lot of them because they feel like misfits. You know, they feel like they weren't able to carry out on something that's been an expectation throughout their entire life, right? For you, what was your experience on your mission, and what obstacles did you face?
Man, honestly, the mission for me was something that I more so needed. I wanted to find a certain part of my spiritual life, that I felt was lacking big time going into my mission. And so going out there, that's really what drove me to. I've always wanted to go when I was a kid. After my freshman year, I really didn't want to go on a mission, but deep down I knew that, it's just as important. You got to have balance in everything. And, a lot of people might say, oh man, Chaz shouldn't have gone on his mission. He should have just stayed and played football. I'm thankful for the opportunity and the things that I learned on that mission, because I feel like it's propelled me. Was it hard? Yeah, coming home early, but I don't wish that on anybody. The amount of shame that you feel from it, not even necessarily from other people, but just internally.
Yourself, yeah.
It eats at you, and you feel like when you come home, you're like, oh, you know what? Especially even to this day, I look back at it and I'm like, man, I could have finished that. Like I feel weak. It's almost like I feel weak-minded that I came home, But at the end of the day, it's what matches you, It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
I think everyone should at least give it a shot and see what comes of it, But if not, there's no judgment in that either. Everyone has their own path, and I see people who are bishops and stake presidents that never served a mission, So it's all really within, your spiritual path.
Yeah. What kind of obviously, because I'm thinking of thinking back to my mission. That first year, bro, was just like the missing home. It was the adjusting to being in a different place, different culture. Having companions that you don't necessarily like, you know what I mean? What kind of challenges did you kind of go through in that first little bit of your mission? Yeah,
I mean, definitely missing home. After about 5-6 months, the missing home wasn't necessarily my biggest thing, but I didn't fit in at all on my mission. And my mission president hadn't experienced a D1 athlete coming through that was of my caliber where, my plan, if I didn't go on a mission, was 3 and out if I could, like that was really where my mindset was at. Whether it's realistic or not, that's where it was.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't let me work out. I couldn't train. I didn't have a proper regimen to be able to keep my body and train the way that I needed to. And that drove me nuts. I was losing my mind out there thinking every day out there, I was falling behind in football. When I could have very easily kept up with football and done my mission at the same time, but it wasn't in his rule book, So I would say that for me, that was the hardest part, was just feeling myself fall behind.
Yeah.
And
physically,
yeah.
And maybe even mentally, where you felt like you had that that mental fortitude and like that toughness, that competitive edge. And then all of a sudden you're on a mission. Hey, brother, you know.
Yeah. I love all, accept all. You know, don't put yourself first, which is still good topics. But yeah, you know, you go out there and mentally you're like, shoot, man, am I losing my edge? I mean, you see a lot of athletes come home from their mission and be like, I'm good. I don't want to play football no more. You know, so when you feel those thoughts start to creep in, and you're like, you know, maybe football, maybe there are bigger things in life than football.
Exactly.
Then it kind of starts. It's just kind of a shock factor. Like, no, there's nothing. There ain't nothing more important than football, than family and God. You know, that's it.
Yeah.
So definitely, you start to feel that pressure and that anxiety from that.
No, I can definitely see that, and it just rings true for a lot of the guys who came back from their mission and it just didn't make it. You know what I mean? They either got cut or they left because they just felt like, I can't compete with these guys right now, man. These guys are cutthroat. I'm not a cutthroat person, you know, and they find that out on their mission. You know what I mean? So that totally makes sense.
That's the truth, though.
So that first year of college and playing Division I football, what were some of the initial challenges of adjusting to college life and then Division I football?
You know, not having the same type of structure. You know, you get to go there and you're young. When you're 18, dude, you can stay up till 6 a.m. and not even sleep an hour, go practice, and go throughout your whole day normal. You know what I'm saying? I would say that was the hardest thing for me is, you know, you get to college and it's just a whole different experience. And that to me was just learning the balance of everything. My first year was the biggest part, especially when you don't play, you know?
Yeah.
When you're not playing, it's kind of like, I think every athlete can attest to that. A part of you kind of starts to slip a little bit mentally. You're still doing what you got to do, but mentally you're not in it the same way as if you were playing, you know? So that was the hardest part. I think, you know, my position coach when I came in my freshman year kind of had a chip on his shoulder towards me. Like, he felt like he needed to humble me, which to me was like, I personally feel like I'm humble. You know, you want to say that, you know, but you don't sound humble when you say I'm humble, you know. You know, I came in there hungry, ready to learn, and he was like, "Oh, you flew in a helicopter, man. I got things I got to teach you, you know." And I'm like, bro, everywhere else, like you go to all these other schools, you go to Alabama, bro, they take that confidence and that cockiness that someone might have, and they're like, let's magnify it times 10, because the more confident that guy is, the better it is for us, you know.
Better he plays, bro.
Yeah, but over there, that's as soon as I got there, man, it was just try to suppress me from the get go. So,
how was that manifest in the way that the coaches treated you? Was it because in my experience, I had a lot of coaches come up to me, "Hey, bro, like you're gonna be our guy, bro. Like you're you know, we're really excited about your potential and stuff." But then when it came to developing me and then allowing those developments to show on the field during game time, I felt like it just didn't happen. You know what I mean? So what was it like for you?
Yeah, no, it was definitely that. I mean, I came in expecting to play both ways. Those were my promises. Those weren't just things that were like, you know, you can come and maybe play. It was like, dude, we need you on offense. And I'm like, as a player, you know, Travis Hunter, like we said earlier, if you can play both ways in college, man, that's a dream right there, you know? So I came in with those kind of expectations and, you know, being told all 4 years of high school, like you would start for us right now if you came and played, you know? Obviously you got to go earn it, which I was ready for. But, you know, I just don't think that it was necessarily presented that way. I think they, you know, they tell you all those things and you get there and like, oh, that's cool. All right, we're going to put you behind Fred Warner, which is like, how can you complain when you're behind Fred Warner?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So, which was good, but you know what I'm saying. It's one thing, and then you go there, and the script is flipped after that. So
yeah, no, I agree, bro. I think it's like they put a lot of, because you go in expecting to learn a lot, right? And you do learn a lot, and there are some important teaching moments that you get, but at the same time, I felt like my development was lacking severely in just football knowledge, like. I couldn't tell you the difference between cover 3 and cover 6 or cover 2 and cover 4. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't tell you those things. And those things would have been important in helping me at the position that I played. You know what I mean? And those things, just those moments I never really got. And if I did get them, it was too late already. I was already a senior, you know, ready to bounce, you know what I mean?
Exactly. No, that's really, I would say that's probably the biggest piece that's been missing is player development. Because you see all these guys like, Zane Anderson is a prime example. That dude is a freak athlete. Didn't really get developed at BYU. Goes to the league, and now he's
Balling.
a captain for the Green Bay. What is it? The Packers or not the Packers?
He's with the
Bills.
Bills, yeah, he's with the Bills right now.
He's a captain now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that type of development. You see that with a lot of BYU guys, which is I think that's why the NFL started catching on to. Is like they have athletes. We just got to get them developed, and that's why you see so many Cougs in the NFL right now.
Bro, and I got some kickback on a comment that I had made on Twitter and on Instagram, but I had said, what does it say about the BYU program that we have all of these guys in the NFL, but at least up until a few years ago, we've struggled to make our presence known against these good teams, winning seasons, you know what I mean? Losing to East Carolina, Liberty, you know what I mean?
Liberty, man,
like, what does that say? What does that say about the BYU program, right? And I think it goes along with what you just said, is that the development wasn't there. They can recruit, they can get guys, but the development, maybe not physically, because I feel like a lot of these guys are physically able to perform, and that's why they've been competing against good teams. Right. But the football knowledge, the position skills and stuff like that, there's just not a whole lot of development there. Would you agree?
Oh man, 1,000%. I would majorly agree with that. I would say that, the IQ part of it, we played a very simple defense. Like, it was a high school defense, kind of. Like, it was very simplified and dumbed down, which, I mean, I know what their thought process was. If we keep it simple, then they can just fly around and play.
Yeah.
But at the college level, man, it's a lot deeper than that, And then you're going against these offenses where they have offensive coordinators that came from the league, from the NFL, or these top SEC schools.
Yeah.
They know how to scheme against every defense possible, So you got to be able to switch it up. And I'd say that's probably been the biggest difference is, the coaches is actually taking time to teach you what a 4-3 and a 3-4 is. Like, they don't expect you
nickel,
to know that.
Dime, you know what I mean?
Nickel, dime, like what the fronts are, how to read an offense, what the different positions, alignments are. I never got any of that until my senior year.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, that senior year is a whole different story, but, that's what it is.
Well, let's talk about that senior year. So your senior year was the 2023 season, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, some coaching changes made. Defensive coordinator, assistant head coach, they're out. Some other assistant coaches left. And then you have Jay Hill and his regime come in. An immediate difference, at least from what I experienced, because I was there for the spring ball of 2023 and the winter training and all that stuff. So during the 2023 season, there were some statements put out about you for your lack of playing, right? You didn't play a whole lot of games, about you being injured or being due to your health. What was actually going on?
Man, my senior year, man, those guys I never got a true shot to actually, if someone beats me out, I'm man enough to say, you beat me out. Just give me a shot. And so that's what it was kind of going down. And, I actually was in the talks of leaving, and Kalani was like, nah, this next year this is your season. We're going to get you to the league. I'm a see to it. It's literally sat me down and said that. And so I was like, you know what? I feel confident in it. And the players, when Jay Hill and them came in, they didn't like him, honestly. And I was the one going to bat for those guys, bro. I sat down with a bunch of our teammates, and I was like, dude, these guys know what they're doing. They know how to coach. They come from winning programs. Like, these guys are going to get us right. Just buy into it. And even all the way up to the season, man, or to fall camp, I was still vouching for these dudes. And, it kind of just did a 180 on me. BYU did me really dirty with the day before deadlines to transfer. They tell me that, hey, we're going to pull your Scully. And I'm like, pull my Scully? I've been a starter for you guys since 2017. Like, I've been playing. I've put my time in,
Yeah.
So even if you don't even necessarily know what I'm going to do, to pull my Scully as a veteran on the team.
One more year, yeah.
One more year, and the day before I can transfer. And I remember I got on the call with one of the coaches, and they're like, I get that if it's just too much, if you want to leave, you can leave. I'm like, you're going to tell me that on July 1st? Like, I have no options now. I have no one that I would know where I can go. And so
this was before the 2023 season.
Man, right this was right after, or right in the middle of summer workouts, before the deadline to transfer. So it's like I had no options. I wasn't, I was a grad transfer, so if I really wanted to, I probably could have look to go and transfer somewhere, but by then everyone's got their rosters locked in, man. They've already filled up their team, you know.
Exactly.
So it was just grimy how they went about that. That part of it did not sit well with me. And then, you know, definitely treated differently. Throughout that season, even the starters on the team were coming up to me like, hey, man, I don't know what's going on, you know. And I feel like that was a part of the reason that the locker room was kind of lost in a sense, is that you saw a lot of veterans that had earned their time and proven that they can play ball that were treated terribly. I mean, you were a veteran too that was treated terribly going through that spring ball, you know. So it's just those little things, you start to lose a team.
Yeah.
Now, once you lose that locker room, and obviously you can re-recruit, but the same thing is happening right now. You see there's some ballers on this team that are dipping out, you know. So that was my experience my senior year, man. I never really got a shot. Yeah. And by the time I did get a shot at the end of the year with Oklahoma, you know, everyone kept saying, oh, Chaz is hurt this whole season. I was fine. I was healthy. Like,
I seen the tweets.
Yeah, bro. I couldn't help but just laugh at it, you know. Like, there was a span for 3 weeks where I was about to just call it, you know. Like, I would ask coaches to go and meet with them. I sat in front of their office for 3 hours waiting to go talk to someone, never show, you know. And you set up a time. Like, it's not like I just showed up. I would text them and say, hey, okay, meet me over here. Never showed up, you know. So that's when I kind of knew. I was like, what am I doing here, you know? But then, you know, I thought about it a little deeper, and I love the boys on the team, so I stayed. And, you know, sitting on practice squad your senior year after you've played in the biggest games of BYU, potentially BYU history, man. Yeah. It's a different experience. So
obviously there were some things that happened. Players got hurt. You got your chance to play. From what I saw, you balled. You know what I mean? And I think that's really what started the questions of why wasn't Chaz playing? You know what I mean? What was it like to step on the field after all of this had happened, and then to perform the way that you did?
Man, that game against Oklahoma, you know, everyone has their pregame rituals. Everyone does their thing. One of the coaches, he from the get was trying to get me off my game. You know, telling me, hey, stop doing this. Hey, do this with your jersey. And, like, we're going through warm-ups, and I'm running out there with the ones. He pulls me out in warm-ups, puts me on the bench. And I'm like, what is good? Like, let me get ready for the game. Like, so I didn't even get a real shot to just go out there and play free.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, already,
like, damn, I didn't even mess up. And he said, oh, that just wasn't good, and I didn't like your steps and all that. Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, this is warm-ups. Everyone knows that warm-ups is kind of just get out there, feel the field, you know, run around. And so I didn't even – going into that game, that was my only game of the year that, you know, I had 1 week of practice to make it work for one game.
Yeah.
The rest of the year, I didn't even get a run with our ones. So I was just kind of thrown into the fire, and, I did the best that I could. You know, obviously I was hoping to make a bigger impact than I did. But even in that game, they benched me at the end of the game, saying that, blaming everything on me.
Yeah.
And you go back and watch the film. We were in film, and I even called it out. I was like, bro, I did exactly what I was supposed to do. So why am I getting marked off on this?
Yeah.
Oh, I just didn't like it. I was like, all right, cool. We'll call it there then.
I feel like that kind of speaks to something that a lot of fans don't understand, is that these coaches have egos too. You know what I mean? These coaches have personalities. They have their own shortcomings, their own mistakes that they make. But and I feel like now fans have been a lot better about pointing that out, keeping coaches accountable and stuff. But as a player, like the power dynamic between the coaches and the players, right? It's like the coaches control the playing time. The coaches control the development and the level of readiness that you have for a game, right? Mm-hmm. They control all of that.
All of it.
You know what I mean? It's like, and obviously players, we do as much as we can to perform to the best of our ability. But if the game plan ain't there, if the scheme ain't there, you getting your ass whooped against Liberty.
Yeah,
you know what I
What
mean?
I'm saying. Yeah, that dynamic right there is. I'll say this much: when you're a player and you speak up to a coach like, "Hey, coach, I have a concern," and then 20 minutes later you go into a team meeting, and that coach cusses you out in front of the whole team and says you're selfish for bringing any of that up. Like, at that point as a player, you're like, I'm not saying nothing.
I am never talking ever again.
Yeah, I ain't going to express anything. And it's not even like a selfish thing. It's like, you want to do what's best for the team. I don't care what anyone says. Everyone has their selfish agendas. But at the end of the day, we all understand that I'd rather win on a team than be a baller by myself. And so you see those guys that top dogs that transferred out that same year that went out to play at bigger schools
and balled
out. That power dynamic can't be like that. You got to allow the players to express, listen to them, and then be like, all right, this is what I'm feeling. It can't be, oh, you don't like what's going on? You're selfish. Yeah, shut the F up.
Leave. Go ahead, transfer. Get the hell out of here.
Bro, the amount of times we'd hear that in our team meetings, man. Get out of here. You don't want to be here. Don't be here.
And that's all stuff that fans don't see, but it's very much present in college programs, right? Again, the ego, the pride, right? The arrogance, and coaches are people too, right? Sure. Players are people too. But that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be held accountable and that those things shouldn't be allowed to be shared by players who have gone through it and have it's affected them personally and professionally as a football player. You know what I mean? Like, I look back and I think, man, I could have done more if I had an opportunity at least. And I felt like the opportunities were kind of held over my head like this, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And obviously it seems like we kind of share the same experience. But I remember talking about it in class, bro. We're just sitting there like, man, F this school, man. F this place, bro.
Man, but by then it's too late. It's like, too late, bro. I can't do anything now. So all you can do is really just bond with your boys and make the best of it, man. But the ego is huge. That's something that, I feel bad for a lot of players that have to come in and deal with these coaches that feel like they belong on the field right now. They haven't let go of it. It's just things like that where you're sitting in spring ball. I remember spring ball. I had just gotten off my ankle surgery. I was, 4 months out of my ankle surgery? Yeah. And I'm not cleared to practice at all. One of the coaches is out there saying I'm a wussy, to be soft with my words, saying I'm a wussy, I don't love the game of football. He cussed me out. I remember we were standing there on the sideline, and he pulled me over. He said, Chaz, F you. And I was like, what? He said, Chaz, F you. You don't love this game? And I'm telling him, my coach, I love this. I would have left a long time ago. I've had every reason to quit, He's like, I love this game. He's like, no, you don't. Just kept grilling me and just saying, F you, F you. And then I walk off, and one of the players that's standing right there, he looks at him. He's like, he didn't do anything wrong. I just don't like him. So I'm like,
bro, that is crazy.
What do you, when he told me that, I was like, what do you mean? And you haven't even seen me play ball yet.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't like him. I'm like, I didn't even get a chance. You didn't even give me the opportunity to know you, or even you to get to know me. So the ego is big.
Dude, that is such a, but that's typical. It's just typical, like, narcissistic behavior from a coach who doesn't even want to humble himself enough to try to get to know his players and use the pieces that he has already there available. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, when you're given God-given talent and then you choose, because of your ego, to mess with him mentally and emotionally to satisfy your ego, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem right. And I think we're going to hear in the next couple of years, like, when maybe they do some sort of documentary or some shit.
Man, you'd be surprised, bro. There was dudes on the team this year, and I'm talking, like, I'm not going to expose nobody on the team, and some of them, whatever.
Good players, but
good players, starters, bro. Yeah. Starters that are saying, I wish I could speak up about what I'm experiencing as a starter. When you hear that, especially at BYU, bro, that's such a special place, man. You could, regardless of my experience, man, I love BYU. The fan base is no one competes with our fan base, And so you just hear these things, and it's just sad, that they can't figure it out that way.
Yeah.
I feel bad for a lot of the athletes there.
I feel bad for the boys, man. They'll figure it out, man. And hopefully there's some administrative stuff that's being done to really take care of them, because you don't want them to have to go through that. That weighs heavily mentally on a person, you know what I mean?
For sure.
But kind of pivoting off from that subject, seems like we got a pretty good idea of your experience in 2023. So I know that in the 2022, before the 2022 season, we had heard about the DUI, getting pulled over and stuff, and we're like, it happens. Like, you have some players who, it happens to and stuff. But then we hear some other articles come out talking about how the deputy was like, he had just finished training. There was some misconduct and stuff going on. What exactly happened on that day?
Yeah, man, I realized after you had kind of reached out and told me what you kind of wanted to talk about, I've never talked about it. I've never told the true story of what happened with my DUI. Yeah, that whole thing is the most messed up situation ever. I understand people make mistakes, and I have no problem to stand by my mistakes and admit to them. You know, I've always been that guy, but that case was different.
Yeah.
You know, I had just gotten done with church, and I was driving out to my parents' house to go to family dinner. My dad was in the Bishopric.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to start going again. But, but I'm driving home from church. My dad is in the Bishopric. I'm on the phone with him. Hey, yeah, I'm coming out. I'm going to change and then head straight there. And so I'm driving back, and I get off the freeway, and this cop starts following me all the way from the In-N-Out down there in American Fork.
Yeah.
Follows me all the way out to Eagle Mountain.
All the way out, bro. That's like 5 miles.
Oh, yeah, bro, it is out there. It was like a 20-minute drive from there. You know, you have traffic and stuff too. Like, he followed me for a minute and pulled me over right by my house. Like, I could have, it's 5 houses down from my house. Pulls me into the parking lot, and poly guy, and he basically starts right out the gate, starts cussing me, like freaking out at me. I'm like, I don't even know what I did wrong. Like, you followed me all the way out here. You know, I seen you. I wouldn't do nothing stupid.
Yeah.
You know, like, I've had a heavy foot in the past. You know, I like to speed a little bit, but you know, if a cop is behind you, you're on your A game. You know.
Yeah.
And so he pulls me over and says I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm like, well, I didn't do any of that. And this was 2 months after I got my shoulder surgery, so I'm still like kind of slinged up and stuff. And he rips me out the car. And this
he laid hands on you, like he put hands on
you,
bro.
It was the second cop.
Okay.
So another cop had showed up. He pulls me out the car. This other cop. So it's a poly guy and a white guy. Like, that doesn't matter, but just to give more detail.
Just more detail.
The second guy pulls me out, and they sit me on the curb, and I'm saying like, hey man, I just got surgery on my shoulder. Like, don't go too crazy, you know. And immediately he goes and starts checking the car. Like, doesn't even ask for permission. And, you know, at the time, I didn't know my rights like that. And so he goes and he's checking the car and not seeing. I mean, I'll admit, I had the alcohol bottle in my trunk. It was bone dry. Like,
nothing in it. Yeah.
You know, like, I wasn't under any type of influence, man. And so then I'm like, all right, well, can I do the blow into the whatever it is, the alcohol test?
Yeah.
I forget what that's even called.
The sobriety test.
Yeah. I'm like, can I go through all of that? You know? And he's like, no, we're not going to do that. I was like, well, let me walk the line or something. Like, let me do the physical test at least. No, we're going to book you and then we'll do it. So I'm like,
bro, what
are you talking about? Like, I knew that at least. I knew that much. It's like, I'm at least allowed a test. You know? You got to prove that I'm under any influence.
Yeah.
No. So they cuffed me up, took me right down to the jail, and I passed every test. They said I failed one test because it took me 34 seconds to count to 33.
No, hold on, wait, what? They said
because what is it? The test is like, you go like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, or something like that. And it took me 34 seconds to count to 33.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah. And obviously you're nervous. Like, I've never been in jail before. You know, you're sitting in there. I passed the physical test, everything. They drew blood, urine test. I came back clean, bro, clean. They booked me in there. And what's funny is, you know, I was sitting in there. Shout out to this cop. He was a real cop.
Yeah.
He was a cool dude. He's like, bro, I know what this can do to you. Like, I'm here if you need anything. I don't know what comes from here, if you're going to stay here for a little bit or not. But if you need anything, let me know, because he knew who I was. Turns out the second cop, the white cop, diehard Utah fan. Diehard. Not saying that was a factor, but you know,
come on, bro. You know,
yeah, like, he was extreme on Facebook. Is what they like. The research had shown, and so the other cop was actually friends with Sione Takitaki, is what he claimed to be, and it was just a dirty situation, man. And so the DA actually went over. A lawyer hit me up. He said, I'm going to do this for free. I read your case.
Damn.
He brought me in to talk to see if he wanted to do it. He's like, I'm going to do this for free for you because you're innocent. Like, all your tests came back. Like, they have nothing on you. And so that's why the DA dropped it so quick, you know?
Yeah, I seen the video. They're talking about how, first of all, any evidence that they would have gathered afterwards was illegal.
Illegal.
Was illegal to submit because they didn't. I don't think did they read you your rights?
Dude, I didn't read my rights until I was sitting in
the jail cell.
Yes,
You're kidding.
I was sitting with them doing the little interview that they do when they book you, and they said, "Here's your rights," and I'm like, "Bro, we skipped too many steps."
Oh
man.
my gosh, bro.
Yeah.
So at that point you start to realize. I mean, you said there was a few things while you're sitting there on the curb. You're like, hold on, this don't seem right.
Yeah.
And then you're in the jail cell. They read you your rights. So clearly some malicious intent. To some degree, I don't know how much, but like to some degree, there was some malicious intent. It seemed like you were kind of targeted as an athlete, right?
For sure.
Because they recognized you, they knew who you were.
Yeah.
And then the DA comes in. He does this pro bono, does it for free, and then he's looking over the case. And reading the articles, I'm thinking like, how does a cop get away with this? Because in the moment, bro, there's no stopping them.
Nothing.
They did whatever they wanted, right?
Yeah.
Like, pulled you out the car, laid hands on you.
Yeah. Even called in 3 other cops. They just watched the whole thing happen. Didn't say anything. Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's crazy. And they lied on the reports that they even published to the public. So they put out a report of what they had found about me.
Yeah.
In the car.
Yep.
It's a lie. So, honestly, I probably got a case that I could probably take back there, But,
low key. High key, bro. Not even low key.
I mean, you're falsifying reports. Those 2 cops, they got fired. One of them, actually, he said he was done. He quit himself. The poly guy. I ran into him at a Polynesian restaurant, actually right before 2023.
Oh, no way.
And he came up and tried to apologize to me. I was like, bro, no, I don't even want to hear it from you. The other cop, they got fired, but, I don't know if it's like one of those put him on leave for 6 months and then he came back after type of thing. I don't know.
Well, from what I read, I think he got relocated.
Relocated?
To another, to like another location, his jurisdiction changed, right?
Yeah.
So obviously kind of an upsetting case, and especially in like such a racially charged state that we're in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, not to say that there's any racial undertones with that specific case,
Right.
but clearly some level of prejudice. Like,
it was all malicious, man. Nothing about that was like them following procedure or them trying to actually take a criminal off the street.
Yeah.
It was all dirty, especially 2020, man. That was 2 months later. So I just got surgery on my shoulder in December, pulled over in February, arrested.
Sheesh.
March, it hits the public, and then we go into lockdown, and I'm just isolated in my house. And my lawyer's like, don't say anything, don't post about it, don't try to share your story, just let it be. So, and then all the George Floyd thing comes up, and at that point, America's on edge with, standing up for what's right, and it was a lot of just dominoes falling at the time. So,
damn, man, no, yeah, I apologize for that experience, bro. I mean, you want to have you want to have faith in our criminal justice system, and in high school, I was a huge Republican, huge conservative, bro. I'm like over there pro-Trump, like send him back and stuff, build the wall. But as I've kind of matured, I've started to recognize the mishandling of our government and of specifically our law enforcement. Not to say that they're all bad people, because they have wonderful people who are in law enforcement.
For sure.
But it's just something that's really sad to see,
Yeah.
So shifting off from that topic, but going into, because you had mentioned that he was a Utah fan, and it seems like there's like this undying hatred that they have, that they just, anything they can do to hurt the BYU program, defame them, they'll do it. And to some degree, I appreciate it because it adds more fire to that game. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But what was one of the most out of pocket experiences that you had at an away game with a crowd, with a fan base?
Man, being at BYU, you hear some crazy stuff. Everyone hates the Mormons. Everyone hates the Mormon school. But the 2 times that I think of, Tennessee, I remember I was walking out to warm up, and that was probably the biggest game of my life that I ever played in. Yeah. And they're screaming, F the Mormons. You have all these people. They have like people with Jesus Christ on a cross, like mocking Jesus Christ. I'm like, right, this is the Bible Belt down here. I'm surprised you guys are taking it that far, Yeah. But I would say what we were talking about a little earlier was Utah State, man. That was so out of pocket, man. It was fun though. That was one of the most fun games I ever played in because of how out of pocket it was.
Yeah.
You have me and Neil Pau, who both have the DUIs connected to our names, you know, like, so you have the chant every time we go to the sideline, they're chanting DUI, DUI, like every time that you come to the sideline. And then you're sitting down and your coach is trying to talk to you, and all of a sudden you have a water bottle hit you in the back of the head or something, man. It was funny, man, but they're over there cussing us out. Every time that my position coach would try to say something, they start yelling. And then as soon as he stops, they stop.
Oh,
you know, it was funny, bro. Like, it was.
And they had pictures, right? They had like blown up pictures of your guys' faces and stuff, right?
Yeah. Dude,
that's
they had
crazy.
Everything, bro.
I heard that because I heard they had a picture of the DUI photo that when you got booked, right?
Yeah,
they had that on there.
They had my DUI photo, bro.
Bro,
I low-key wish I could have kept it, man. But it was just sitting right there in the stands, man. So, you know, those type of things, you know how it goes. You just embrace it and kind of play along with it. I wouldn't even lie. We were talking back to him at the end of the game. Like, when they start cussing you out, saying "F you guys, we hate you," they started calling out people's wives' names and stuff, and like taking it to that depth, like moms, dads' names. Like, they were calling out names, man. So we were like, I would say that was the funniest, most out of pocket experience. I don't know. What would you say would be yours though?
Oh, bro. I mean, I honestly haven't had a horrible experience in away games, at least the ones that I've gone to. One of the funniest experiences, it was a Utah State player though, and it was a home game. It was a home game, man. Like, I'm sitting there getting into my 3-point stance because we're winning the game obviously and stuff, and they come up to me like, "What's up, skinny?" Damn, you skinny, cuz. I'm like, it's these two white guys, bro, coming up to me, and I'm like, farmer boys. I'm like,
that's funny, man.
Hey, check the scoreboard, bro. Shut up, skinny. I'm like, what the?
They be talking out there, bro.
Talking.
That's funny though.
I hate Utah State, man. It's the program that's like, it's like the because we call them little brother. They're not even little brother, bro. They're like little like step brother.
Little step
like
brother.
That's a little weird, and we don't really hang out with them because
you
know what I mean.
Keep your distance, bro. I'll dap you up, but I ain't gonna.
That's what I'm saying, you know. And it'll be interesting to see how Coach Mendenhall does up there, man.
That's gonna be fun, man. Because honestly, that game, Utah State was probably the most heated game every year. Even like Utah, bro, they were whooping our ass most of the time, you know. Besides up until 2021, so every time we played Utah, it was kind of just like, all right, let's. You know, the fans are kind of into it, but it didn't feel the same. Then you go to Utah State, and, dude, it's
a battle, bro.
Cold-blooded, man. Like, it was fun because on the field, you know, the trash talk that's going on.
Yeah.
The fans, even the coaches, bro. That's the first time a coach has ever trash talked me was at Utah State. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what Bronco does, and hopefully it heightens it, you know. I hope they actually start competing, you know.
That's what I want. I want them to start competing so that to boost the brand of Utah football, you know, and then when that game comes around and we win, it actually means something to the program, you know what I mean? Like, because for me, I feel like it's a trap game every year. It's like, you lose to them, you suck. You beat them, it's like, oh, well, they suck, so who cares?
Yeah. No, you can't win that game. Exactly. That's how it goes, is you're supposed to win. And then that year that they did beat us, it's like.
Big deal. It was our Super Bowl. It was a big deal, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So closing remarks. Obviously, we've covered a lot of ground, and I appreciate you coming out, bro. But the last two questions that I had. First, your dad has been by your side throughout your entire football career, pretty much. Mm-hmm. What has that meant to you to have your dad there supporting you, giving you guidance and counsel throughout your football career?
Man, honestly, that's such a unique situation. I had so much fun. Like, it's not every day you get to travel to the top destinations, college destinations, and play in these big stadiums, and your dad's standing there on the sideline with you, you know? Like, you got to create these core memories with your dad everywhere that you go. So I would say that was the funnest part, having him there, you know? And that's my mentor. That's the hardest coach that I've ever had is my dad, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And so you're on the sideline, and I'm going to him, and I'm like, all right, what'd you see right there? Yeah. You know, and he's not going to step over the coaches. He never did that. He's like, just use your hands, do this a little bit more. Whatever they're calling that play call, you know, go through all your steps. And, you know, it's just nice to have that reminder. It's almost like I was lucky because it's like UFC, man. You have your day one coach right there in your ear the whole time.
In your corner,
Yeah. And so I got that experience, and that to me was special.
And it's not like your dad don't know ball. He know ball.
That boy knows ball.
He knows ball, man.
He's supposed to be a coach right now, man. That's the only reason he went to BYU is to become a coach. But he loves his path now. But yeah, that boy can coach.
That's tight. What in you know, growing up, being a kid and having him as kind of like your trainer there, preparing you, what were some things that he kind of instilled you with that you've been able to carry on through your competitive endeavors?
You know, he really taught me the true meaning of sacrifice. You know, it's I didn't live in high school your typical high school experience. And I think that's honestly, I feel like that's most D1 athletes.
Yeah.
You know, in the summertime. And then honestly, I've thought about starting like a coaching clinic on how to get recruited because of the way that I went about it and the way that my dad kind of helped structure that. But having him there, taking me to all these camps, like I didn't do any of the carnivals. I remember the carnival was a big thing to me back in the day. Everyone went to the carnival at the beginning of the year. I never got to go. I think I went one time, and it was for a day, and then the next day I'm out. But, you know, my summers, I sacrificed my summers. You know, I never had a chill period throughout the year. I was always training, playing another sport, doing something to develop myself.
Yeah.
And that's really what he taught me was if I really want something, I have to be willing to sacrifice, you know, having fun right now and just work.
Yeah.
And so that's I think that's what gave me my competitive advantage is because I was able to sacrifice a lot of things.
Yeah. Looking back on your career now, what are some things that you would have done differently?
Honestly, man, the number one thing I would have changed is I would have gone to the school that loved me. Like BYU loved me, but they would have been more shocked at me going somewhere else than how happy I felt like they were that I was coming to BYU. You know, they would have been more offended, like, what the heck? I was expected to go to BYU by those guys, you know?
Yeah.
So I would have gone to the school that, you know, went above and beyond, and that was, you know, UCLA, Washington. Those are the schools that I felt loved, you know, real love. So that's the first thing I would have changed. Second thing I probably would have changed is, you know, I probably would have spent more time with my coaches. You know, I wish that I deep down, I really yearned for a coach to really connect with, you know, a coach that I could hit up and say, hey, I'm struggling. I need help. You know, I don't think I ever got that experience in college. And that's the one thing that I wish I had was a real player to coach relationship.
Dude, I feel that, bro. It's like, because it's not only just having someone there professionally, but personally, you know what I mean? Kind of like how Harvey Unga has been to, like, the running backs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Harv's been, I mean, he's been there when these guys have had personal issues, mental issues, like emotional, you know, anything that has to do with their health or their personal, familial issues that they have, like, he's there for them, you know what I mean? And I feel like I was so envious, bro, of just, like, having a coach that would have been like that. That was like, you can call him and hit him up no matter what. It's just, hey, bro, look, I'm having a tough time. You got anything for me? You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
What advice would you give to a player who is probably going through the same exact things that that you went through in your football career?
You know, every situation is unique, you know, so my advice to the athletes is if you don't feel loved, go find somewhere that loves you. I don't even care if it's D2, man. Like, the NFL will find you no matter what, you know. It doesn't matter what level you're playing at, but go somewhere where you feel loved. And I think as a player, you know, in the NFL, it's tough love, you know, but you go into it expecting that. As an 18-year-old kid, when you have a coach come into your home and say, I'm going to tell your parents and you, like, I'm going to care about you as a person, I'm going to develop you. NFL, you already know. They don't give two rats. But college, man, you got to go where you feel loved, and that ultimately will change your entire experience. Even if you feel loved and you're not playing, it's way different because you're like, this guy actually cares, and he's actually giving me a shot.
It's on me.
I wish I was playing, Like, that is, as grown men and as competitors, you always know that if someone's better than me, they're better than me. But, you know, with the coach, if the coach gives you a real shot, that's what matters. Yeah.
Dog, I appreciate you coming out on this episode of Unfiltered Talk Podcast. Guys, give a follow to my boy Chaz. Keep up with BYU sports, man. Like, obviously, we're talking about a lot of very serious things, but these are things that happen, and a lot of times they're just stories that haven't been shared yet, you know.
Right.
So I appreciate you coming out, bro.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you giving the athletes the platform to even speak, you know.
Trying, bro.
There's a lot of athletes that have stories that need to be heard. you know. So even if no one hears it, sometimes as an athlete, you just need to get it off your chest, you know. So big ups to you and creating this platform.
Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, hope you have hope you're able to, with your career in sales, man. It's a crazy crazy industry to be in, bro. And there's a lot of money to be made, and obviously wish you the best. But guys, this has been episode 18 of Unfiltered Talk Podcast, a podcast for the people, by the people, and without a filter. We'll catch y'all later.